Hello, my name is Taylor Boyd, and I'm going to be talking to you guys about antibiotic resistance. So are bacteria microscopic friends or foes? So there are 5 million trillion bacteria on Earth. That is more than there are estimated stars in our entire solar system. And there are 39 trillion bacteria that reside in the human body. They are mostly in our gut. That is where we mostly know them, but they are also on our skin, in our mouths, and are even in the vaginal canal and are a major part of childbirth. So less than 1% of these bacteria on Earth are actually pathogenic, which comes to say, no, they are not only foes, they are mostly friends. We are mostly scared of bacteria as a human race because they are pathogenic to us sometimes, but they are actually mostly friends and we rely on them in ways that we don't realize. Less than 1% of them are pathogenic, and 99.9% of these are killed through antibacterial products and antibiotics anyway. These are things like your Lysol, your hand sanitizer, things like that. But with that being said, even though this is a small number that are pathogenic, they are pathogenic and they can be pretty scary. So, what is antibiotic resistance? Antibiotic resistance is a phenomena in which a bacterium mutates to become resistant to its specific antibiotic. Pathogenic evolution and mutation has begun occurring faster than scientists are able to compensate for with new alternate antibiotics. So basically what this means is that these bacteria are no longer being killed by the antibiotics that are prescribed to them. And scientists have been able to compensate by going to the lab and creating new ones, but they are mutating faster than scientists are able to create them. This is now such an extreme issue that present day antibiotic resistant bacteria are actually resistant to multiple antibiotics. So they are resistant to the alternates of the alternates of the alternates of the antibiotics that the scientists are struggling to even create. So the biological 0.1%, also known as the superbugs. So these are the antibiotic resistant bacteria. They're known as superbugs because we don't really know what to do with them. A big one is methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, commonly known as MRSA. So Staphylococcus aureus is a very common bacteria. It is all over our skin, and it is a harmless bacteria unless it gets into wounds. And if it were to get into wounds, that does create a bacterial infection known as a staph infection that I'm sure you've heard of before. Staph infections, although not taken lightly, are mostly curable with methicillin, the antibiotic, until it became resistant, and that created MRSA. Then scientists went into the lab. Have no fear, they found vancomycin until the bacteria became resistant to vancomycin. So as I said before, as you can see here, these bacteria are mutating faster than scientists can create these bacteria. And the second we create a new antibiotic, these bacteria have already got it handled. This can get especially scary with serious bacteria like Mycobacterium tuberculosis, which is the tuberculosis causing bacteria. There is now a multi-drug resistant strain of this, essentially meaning that it is resistant to every antibiotic that we have for it. If anyone were to contract this, there is no cure for it at the moment in terms of antibiotics. It is a shot in the dark. What makes this scary is that tuberculosis is extremely contagious. And with there being no cure, it could cause a serious outbreak. It would be millions times worse than COVID. It would make COVID look like a laughing stock. And especially with how the world has handled COVID, scientists are now worried that if this were to get out into a pandemic style, it could wipe out the human race. So this is really scary. How did this all happen? Small things, little things that nobody really even saw coming until it was a huge issue. Extreme overuse of hand sanitizer and antibacterial soaps is a huge one. Although they kill 99.9% of germs, that 0.1% that's left behind is given a chance to mutate every single time they are used. And after long enough, they are going to mutate, they are going to spread, and there will be antibiotic resistant bacteria. It is just how it's going to happen. The overprescribing of antibiotics in 1950s, there was a penicillin discovery, and it was solving bacterial infections like nothing before. We've never seen it happen before, so it started to be prescribed like crazy. Fast forward to the late 1900s and the early 2000s, and doctors were prescribing antibiotics heavily for a placebo effect for patients coming in with viral infections like the cold and the flu. Viral infections cannot be treated with medication. They can only be cured by the body itself. But to make patients leave and be happy and stop complaining, they would give them antibiotics anyway, which seemed harmless enough until they would come back, need those antibiotics for the actual infection, and they weren't working because the body had already handled it and the bacteria had already mutated. Another issue is a patient's incompletion of antibiotic prescriptions. It is really, really, really important to finish all antibiotic prescriptions prescribed, because although symptoms go away after 2 to 3 days, the bacteria are not gone. So in order to ensure the death of all bacteria, you must complete all of the prescription of the antibiotic, or else they will mutate. So how do we fix this scary issue? Understand that cleaner is not always better. Removing bad bacteria will remove good bacteria as well, and you do not want to remove good bacteria, and antibiotics don't know the difference. It is also excessive exposure to an antibiotic that allows bacteria the increased chance to mutate. So although it is not an excuse to be dirty, you do not want to overclean. Overcleaning in hopes of being cleaner is actually very dangerous. So stop bad antibacterial habits, limit hand sanitizer and antibacterial product usage, finish all prescribed antibiotics regardless of your symptoms, only take prescribed antibiotics that were prescribed to you from your doctor for a stated bacterial infection. And through that way, you can ensure safety for yourself the best way possible. As far as what science is doing to fix this problem, bacteriophages, back to the 1950 discovery of penicillin. Over in Russia, before the Iron Curtain, there was a discovery of bacteriophages. However, the Iron Curtain fell and we stopped giving each other scientific information. So America's a little bit late to this party, and so is the rest of the Western world. But bacteriophages are actually viruses that are made to eat and kill bacteria. So they are specialized to only kill bacteria and nothing else. Meanwhile, or the specific bacteria that it's programmed for. So it's safe, and although it's a virus, which sounds very scary, it is safe. And is actually very well and is the wave of the future. And what's really fun about that is that if the bacteria were to become resistant to the bacteriophages, they would actually have to limit their resistance to the antibiotics, which also would fix our problem. So scientists have a solution. Now you know what to do. It's up to us to be better, be smarter, and to take care of ourselves in terms of antibiotic resistance. Thanks for watching.